ready for a Hutch modification. What we need to do now is to take a measurement. So we're going to use the bottom plate here, that's our constant, and we're going to run down to the bottom edge of this foot. And then the other measurement that we need to take this off really quick, is from the bottom of the top plate to the bottom of this line right here. We want to write both of those measurements down. We're going to use them later on when we put together our lines, fuel lines. Okay, the next step in the Hutch modification is to take this recirculator off. And ideally, we just want to take off this hose, off this stainless 5/16 inch line here. So just remove this clamp, pull the hose off, and then this recirculator will slide right off. Okay, we have our recirculator off, only takes a second. As a reminder, be careful of the float arm here. Do not want to bend that, otherwise your fuel gauge is going to be inaccurate again. So next thing we're going to do is, use our measurements that we took before. We want to extend this line right here, this 3/8 line, to our measurements. So for me, that was 11 1/4 inches. We'll use a brass union, and we'll use some steel fuel line that we got to extend it out approximately here somewhere. Okay, so I've dry fit this pipe here so I can get my exact measurement. So coming from the plate all the way up to this line that I've created here, I've decided to go a little bit longer than my original measurement on the bottom of that recirculator. And what I want is for the line to come down past this valve right here, since that is one of the problems that occurs. I don't want that to be a problem. It's really not an issue to do it. So it'll come down more like here. So now that I've got my mark, I'll take this back out. Okay, now that we've got our line tightened in there, and you want to be really careful with this. If this connection fails, then you're starting all over again. So be really certain that you've got this connection good and tight, especially this lower connection on the factory line here, because it's ever so slightly smaller than this line, so you have to be extra careful to make sure you're fully tightened. So now that we've got this one completely measured out, I verified my length again by measuring the top of the tank to the bottom of the line. We are now ready to put the foot on. And item of note is that this is a graduated line in here. In order to get past this valve, we need to bring it out a little bit. And the best way to do it, and I've got my drill bit stuck in a drill bit. We're not actually using the drill. We're just going to run this on a 3/8 drill bit by hand to loosen it up. And when we do that, we're probably actually going to over loosen it a bit, but we want to run it all the way down so we can line all the way out here, like we discussed. So we're going to need a worm clamp to go on the outside of this. So run this down by hand, not by power drill. You can also do this in a vise, but since I didn't have a vise handy, I'm just using the drill to hang on. Okay, now you can see my bit sticking out a little bit. We'll back it off and then we'll slide it right on. Okay, now that I've got it fitted, I'm going to double check for length on that, and we're going to just dry fit here into the tank. And when I set this down, we'll notice that I'm about 1/4 inch too long. So we're going to knock that, we're going to slide that foot up a little bit further, and then okay, so set the sending unit back in here, and you'll notice I have an ever so slight gap, and that's perfect because when I set it in there, I didn't touch the bottom, and we've got this little green gasket that's going to compress when we reinstall, and when that happens, that foot will be just touching the bottom of the tank. So we're going to take it back out and okay, our next step is to take the 5/16 inch line, and what we're going to do is put a Z-bend in it this way, notice that we're going to mirror this shape, put in a Z-bend this way, and then back out this way. And we're matching here with fuel, the float, so that we can actually set in. We don't want to go out sideways and leave it, or just head out straight here. We want to make sure that that recirculator ends out away from the float, and it doesn't interfere with the float. Okay, now we've got our Z-bend, so it's a pair of 90-degree angles and running in opposite directions. And we just want to inspect our corners here to make sure that we don't have any kinking to restrict flow, and we're in really clean shape. That can be important depending on exactly what type of bender that you have. This bender that I got actually worked quite well. Some of the ones that have a little wheels in between have been problematic. I'm not sure exactly why, because theoretically it should work better. But with these steel lines, this one worked really well. Okay, now when we lay this out, this is what it's going to look like from the top side. And I apologize for the shadow there. Let's see if I can get a different angle. There we go. Well, there we go. So that's the layout. You can see how it wraps around the foot. The length on this is not super important, but maybe if we go 2 or 3 inches beyond where that float is, we'll be in really good shape. Okay, so now that we're assembled here, make sure we're good and tight. Double check to make sure the float and the recirculating line that we just installed don't interfere. Just a little bit beyond. The reason we want this line going beyond is we don't want it to excite the float and give you a false reading or a jittery reading. I doubt that would be an issue, but just to be on the safe side, we went ahead and did it. And one last thing to do is reinstall the screen that goes right in the foot there, and we're ready to reinsert back in the tank.